Hello everyone. In the previous class we discussed about Lebesgue integral of a bounded function over the set of finite measure. Now we'll continue the discussion. Today we're going to discuss about bounded convergence theorem. So what is the statement of bounded convergence theorem? Suppose the collection of all measurable functions are considered and defined over a set E of finite measure, and it is bounded by some positive integer m for all x belongs to E and for all n. And suppose limit as n tends to infinity fn of x is f of x for each x belongs to E, then we have to show that the integral of fn over E converges to integral f over E. So let's prove this one. Since they are given each of this measurable function converges to f of x for each x belongs to E, let epsilon be a positive real number. Then we knew that the Littlewood's third principle says every convergent sequence convergent sequence of Lebesgue measurable functions is nearly uniformly convergent. Because of this, sequence of Lebesgue measurable functions is nearly uniformly convergent. Because of that third principle of Littlewood's, and since A is subset of E and there is a positive integer n, such that measure of A is obviously less than some epsilon by 4m, because the measure of E itself is finite, so we can assume that measure of A is also finite for all n greater than or equal to n, and for all those x which are outside A, then this is nearly uniformly convergent. That is, mod fn of x minus f of x is less than epsilon by 2 times of measure of E. And now let us see, what is your integral of fn over E minus integral of f over E? Because we have to show that the integral of fn over E converges to integral f over E. But we can club this and we can write this one as modulus of integral fn minus f over E. Since the function is measurable, we can write this function. We have discussed this in the earlier video, that this can be written as less than or equal to integral of mod fn minus f. We have proved a result. mod of integral f is less than or equal to integral of mod f over a measurable set E. Because of that result, we can write like this. And let us partition the set E into set A and the elements of E which are in A complement. That is set A and A complement. Let's consider the integral over elements of A complement of this function plus integral of this function over A. Combined together will be your E only. But we knew that for all those x which are not in A, obviously they will be in the A complement. So for all those x which are coming from E minus A, we knew that measure of A is less than epsilon by 4m, and mod fn of x minus f of x is less than epsilon by 2 times measure of E. By this, we can write epsilon, this is mod fn minus f is less than epsilon by 2 times of measure of E into integral of E minus A of 1. But we know that integral of 1 over E minus A is measure of E minus A plus integral of this, because your each fn is bounded, we can write mod fn minus f, which is less than or equal to mod fn plus mod f. So each mod fn is less than or equal to m, therefore mod fn plus mod f of x both are less than or equal to m plus m. That becomes 2 times. So 2 times m, and integral of 1 is measure of A, and we know that measure of A is epsilon by 4m. So if you replace this by epsilon by 4m, 2m cancels, epsilon by 2 will remain here. And here you should note that your E minus A is subset of measure of E, therefore measure of E minus A is obviously less than measure of E. Therefore this will be a fraction. So fraction into epsilon by 2 plus epsilon by 2 will be obviously less than 1 times epsilon by 2 plus epsilon by 2. So epsilon by 2 plus epsilon by 2 is epsilon. Since epsilon is arbitrary, we have proved that this integral fn converges to integral f over E, and this completes the proof. Now let's move on to the next topic, the integral of a non-negative function. We knew that a function f which is bounded, defined over a measurable set E of finite measure, is said to be integrable provided integral over f of E is equal to infimum of integral psi over E, where psi is greater than or equal to f. But we knew that that is one and the same as supremum of integral phi, where phi is less than or equal to f, defined over E. So here in place of phi we are using h, where h is a bounded measurable function such that measure of this set x, for which your h of x is non-zero, is finite. We can use this or infimum, doesn't matter. Infimum of integral psi over E, where f is less than or equal to psi. So we can use any of these. So we are using this one now. Now let us define a proposition. Suppose f and g are non-negative measurable functions. So that means integral of f is supremum of integral over h, where h is less than or equal to f. And similarly, we can find some k such that integral of k, supremum of integral of k, where k is less than or equal to g, is nothing but integral of g over E. Then we have to show this. we have to show that integral of, this is actually CF, not simple f. Integral of CF over E is C into integral f, where C is positive. And the second one is integral of f plus g over E is integral of f plus integral of g over E. And the next one is, if f is less than or equal to g almost everywhere, then the integral of f over E is less than or equal to integral of f over, integral of g over E. We knew what is the definition of almost everywhere. So wherever f is not less than or equal to g, that is, wherever f is greater than g, your measure will be 0. For those points, measure will be 0. Now, let us consider a function h of x which is less than or equal to f of x for all x belongs to E. Then we knew by the definition that integral CF is nothing but supremum of, you can write CH is less than or equal to CF or the integral E of CH, but C is constant, so I can write this one outside, so that you are going to get this, but this is nothing but integral of f over E by the definition of measurable functions. So this is the proof of first one. And let's see the second one. Suppose h of x is less than or equal to f of x, and there is a function k of x which is less than or equal to g of x. Then obviously their sum will be less than or equal to f of x plus g of x. And we knew by the earlier results, if f is less than or equal to g, where these two are bounded by these, and for such functions, your integral will be less than or equal to integral of this. By that definition, integral of h of x plus integral of k of x will be less than or equal to integral of f plus g. Now take the supremum on both sides. For this, there is no need of supremum of this. Then supremum of this and plus supremum of this. Supremum of integral h over E, where h is less than or equal to f, plus supremum of integral k over E, where k is less than or equal to g, gives you integral f over E plus integral g over E, which is less than or equal to integral of this. Let's assume this is 1. This is by the definition of measurable functions. On the other hand, let L be a bounded measurable function which vanish outside the set of finite measure. And suppose the value of this function L of x is less than or equal to f of x plus g of x. Now define two functions which are measurable and bounded, h and k, by setting h of x is the minimum of these two. Minimum of f of x and L of x. Minimum of these two. And your k of x will be always L of x minus h of x. Now, for example, see, suppose, assume that f of x is the minimum. Then your h of x is simply f of x. So your h of x will be always less than or equal to f of x. Because even if it is equal, doesn't matter to us. It is true. And when h of x is equal to f of x, obviously your f of x plus g of x will be greater than or equal to L of x. And if this is f of x, then your k of x will be equal to L of x minus f of x. And obviously, if you send, see, this is f of x. So if you send this to this side, your h of x plus k of x will be equal to your L of x. So that means f of x plus k of x equal to f of L of x. But your f of x plus k of x is nothing but, it is the value which is less than or equal to f of x plus g of x. So we can write this without any problem. Suppose if h of x is equal to L of x, then obviously this will be your zero function k of x, and your g of x is non-negative, therefore it is always greater than or equal to 0. Therefore this is true. And when you are saying your h of x is L of x, you know that this is h of x, and obviously h of x is less than or equal to f of x. Therefore obviously h of x is less than or equal to f of x plus g of x. So in both the case this is true. Note that h and k are bounded by L. Therefore L vanish, then h and k also vanishes. Further, from this, what is your L of x? It is h of x plus k of x. Therefore, integral of L will be equal to integral of h plus k, which is nothing but integral of h plus integral of k. But we knew that our h is less than or equal to f, and by the earlier results, integral of h over e is always less than or equal to integral of f over e, plus integral of k over e is less than or equal to integral of g over e. Combined together, we can write this one as integral of L over E is less than or equal to integral of f plus g. Now take the supremum. What is supremum of this L, integral of L over E, where L is less than or equal to f plus g, which is less than or equal to, here no need to take the supremum because already there are numbers. So integral of f over E plus integral of doesn't make any sense in taking supremum in the right hand side. So integral of f over E plus integral of g over E. But what is your supremum of L less than or equal to f plus g? Integral of L over E is nothing but integral of f plus g over E, which is less than or equal to this. Combining 1 and 2 gives you the actual result. So we approved integral of f plus g is equal to integral of f plus integral of g. Now you can prove the third one using this itself. Using first one and second one, you can prove very easily. See, send this f to this side. That becomes g minus f is greater than or equal to 0 almost everywhere. And you know that your integral of f plus g is integral of f plus integral g. So I can write this one as integral g minus integral f, which is greater than or equal to 0. Sending to this side, that gives you the actual answer. Or otherwise you can prove in this way also. So that completes the proof of this theorem. Thank you.